in the area of waste management and recycling are going to be leading us. Session Fireside Check of green hydrogen and green biomethanol production from biomass. Dr. Hisham, I want to introduce first our panelists. Dr. Layla Skandar, currently CID consultant, co-founder, former Minister of State in the government of Egypt, was the Minister of State for Urban Renewal and Informal Settlements in Egypt from July 2014 to September 2015, Minister of State for Environmental Affairs from 2013 to 14. Prior to holding that public job, was a leading member of the civil society nationally, internationally, working with youth, women, children, livelihood programs in informal urban settlements and deprived villages in Upper Egypt. CID Consulting was awarded the Social Entrepreneur of the Year Award 2006 at the World Economic Forum by the Foundation. Studied economics, political science at ECARU University, Near Eastern Studies and International Education Development at UC Berkeley, California, and Columbia University. Got a doctorate in international education development. He's been working in the informal waste recyclers, collectors of Cairo since 1983, before any of this started, and any of us talked about him.
Before you were born.
Before that, well, no, wallahi, you wouldn't be surprised. CID Consulting is currently working on plastic neutrality issues and climate change, designing partnerships between multinationals and informal waste recyclers. We also have Dr. Hisham Sharif. He's the chairman and CEO of the Egyptian Company for Solid Waste Recycling and ECARU. Dr. Hisham is the chairman and CEO, a company that specializes in recycling biomass and municipal solid waste. It currently receives 500,000 tons of MSW on its projects. ECARU collects and processes around 1.5 million tons of agri-residues per year. The company has projects in Egypt, Libya, Cyprus, and Ethiopia. Mr. Hisham is specialized in municipal solid waste management, sanitary landfill management, MSW recycle plant management, RDF, designing of collection, transporting, disposal of systems aside. His wide experience in technical affairs, especially with solid waste, waste systems, mainly recycling and composting facilities. Holds a mechanical engineering degree from Al-Minya University, as well as a PhD in chemical engineering from Strathclyde University in the UK. The session is titled, as I said, Green Hydrogen and Green Biomethanol Production from Biomass. We'll hear about the ECARU journey towards a sustainable biomass management model, in addition to being a fully integrated solid waste management with its sister company. And you'll highlight for us the Biomass Management 2026 Business Development Plan. Dr. Layla is going to grill you, no, is going to start asking questions. And both of you, I think, let's make this conversational. We are here to learn. Thank you so much. We're honored to have you on stage.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the introduction. Taban, Dr. Hisham is a leading expert and a dear friend. Whatever questions I have, he will take them with a very good heart. Since I don't see any non-Egyptians here, would you allow me to speak in Arabic? Okay, let's go. Thank you. Is this live streamed? Right. So maybe I should stick to English, yeah. Right. So, Doctor, I have known you for a long time, and you are one of Egypt's and the world's leading proponents of compost, of organic fertilizer, of using organic waste in composting, RDF, if it's not good enough for composting, and you have established and invested in it. So it's not just talk. How come you're now calling for us to use this material for green hydrogen? Is this a change of heart?
Well, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to discuss the biomass management in Egypt, the current status and future prospects. So since 1995, as I stated yesterday, there was a pilot scale project financed by the SCTC program. And in this program, we were focusing on the biomass management and wastewater management in rural areas. And you know, SCTC is the Science and Technology Cooperation Project between the government of Egypt and the government of USA. This was in 1995. In 1997, we established ECARU. What does ECARU mean? Egyptian Company for Agriculture Residues Utilization. This is how ECARU stands for. So since 1997, we started the biomass management in Egypt. And as Dr. Ahmed said in his speech before, at this time, I really don't know what does biomass means. I started the agricultural residues management because I believe that we have to give more focusing on this business. We spent 10 years collecting the agricultural residues, producing compost, nobody is buying, then we have huge amount of compost and we were losing money. In 2007, if you remember the Minister of Environment, there was a big problem in Egypt regarding to the rice straw open burning. So ECARU already signed an agreement for 10 years with the EEAA, and we spent from 2007 until 2017, and I think there is no any more problem regarding the rice straw open burning. And now it is became like a great opportunity for the biomass management. What does these biomasses goes, or where it goes? Just to give you some figures, Egypt is generating a minimum of 35 to 40 million ton of agricultural residues. But the biomass family worldwide is not only agricultural residues. If you are talking about the sorted organic residues from municipal solid waste, this is called biomass. If you are talking about the industrial solid waste from food sector, this is called the biomass. Canning industry, fruits and meat industry, all of these called biomass. We have the sludge coming from sewage water. This is also called biomass. Then in figures, the agricultural residues in Egypt is representing a minimum of 37% from the solid waste sector in Egypt. And the municipal solid waste is within, I think, 22, 25%. 50% of this is the organic residues. And the industrial solid waste is representing 7%. The sludge is representing 3%. Then we do have a huge amount of biomasses in Egypt.
That's true.
What happened since 2007 or 1997 until today? We have come to the point that Dr. Laila raised. Until 2010, there is no one single ton of biomasses goes for energy. Most of the biomasses goes for either animal feed or compost, but there is nothing goes for energy. Why? Because at this time, the cost of fuel oil was less than 1,000 Egyptian pound, if you remember, and you can't compete with low prices. Although of these low prices, with support from Dr. Ahmed Gabir, we decided to participate in the first 1 ton of BDF with Cemix cement in 2009-2010. So the first ton of biomass goes for cement industry, it was in 2009 and 2010. After that, in 2012, Dr. Laila was fighting against anybody in Egypt that she was against importing coal, not because she wanted to be against the country policy, because she was scared that might affect the energy might come from the municipal solid waste or from agricultural residues, and the carbon emission will be generated is too high. So because her concern regarding the environment, she was against bringing coal to Egypt. But correct me if this is the message.
You're absolutely right. But also, in addition, I was concerned about the handling of it, which I felt the country was not ready to do safely, and for public health.
Good. So at the end, they have taken a decision to bring the coal for the first time in Egypt. Cement industry is using coal was in 2014. Before that, it was mainly natural gas and fuel oil, but no coal, very little pit coke, even no pit coke. Since the coal imported, the biomass has a future, but because of the too low price or price low for the coal, we were struggling to keep the alternative fuel, raising in this sector. After 2018, 2019, we became having a great opportunity under the multinational cement companies is using the alternative fuel, mainly either from RDF or from the biomass, because number one, it is carbon emission reduction material. Number two, it is low price. Number three, they are paying in Egyptian currency, but the coal at this time is imported by US dollar or foreign currency. These are the main advantage of using the coal. So we were converting our strategy not to rely only on the compost, but to rely also in the alternative solid fuel as an thermal energy source.
Let me just interrupt you here for 1 second, and I'm sorry if I do that, but since you're bringing up the issue of using biomass as a source of energy, how come we never thought of using it to produce biogas? We already have experiments and the track record in Egypt. Dr. Salah Harafa implemented numerous household level experiments. They're no longer experiments. The Ministry of Environment also did the same in ENA. And given that it's not about whether material is plentiful and who's paying for it, is it foreign currency or not? No, it's not. It is about appropriate technology for the needs of the people. And I would argue that biogas is more appropriate than all of these other solutions you're looking for to direct biomass. I think it's much more appropriate than hydrogen. What do you say to that?
Well, everybody knows that Egypt has a big industry related to the sugar industry. So we are, generating 3.5 million ton of bagasse from sugarcane industry. 100%, I could say almost 100% of this bagasse goes for burning in the sugarcane company, sugarcane production company, as a source of energy. Why? Because the prevailing fuel in the sugarcane industry is the fuel oil and some natural gas. To answer your question, by the way, I am PhD in an anaerobic process. So converting biomass to methane is my favorite, art of the process. But to go, for the economical aspects, at this time, Dr. Laila, we were competing against natural gas price of 3.5 US dollar per MMBTU. And when the country decided to increase the natural gas price, it became 4.75. So the worldwide price, I was in a meeting yesterday, they are informing me that the natural gas price in Europe is exceeding 38 euro per MMBTU. But today in Egypt, the cement industry is no longer using the natural gas. There is no way. Why? Because 2 months ago, the government of Egypt decided to increase the natural gas price to 12 US dollar per MMBTU instead of 3.5.
Music to my ears, but let me bring you back to this context. It's not just about price, investment, technology. We're now at COP27. It's a much bigger context. So let me remind you that more than 90 countries signed the methane pledge. And one of the best ways to capture methane is to turn organic municipal waste and organic agricultural residues to biogas. Do you not want to ride the tide and join the environmental club? This is a fireside chat with Dr. Hisham Sharif.
Can I interfere? Can I interfere?
We
It
will,
has to make
as an
economic sense.
Economic sense.
If it's profitable, it will happen.
Yes.
The problem throughout in Egypt's history is subsidy. The subsidy that was given to a lot of industries is the reason number one why what you are saying did not happen. It should have happened, but it should have happened with policies that the government would have taken regarding the pricing of fuel oil and then natural gas.
The person who just intervened, ladies and gentlemen, is Mr. Ahmed Hekel from Capital Holdings. So now I bring it back to Dr. Hisham Sharif. You heard what was just said about price. So, looking at price, have we priced the environment in our pricing policy? We have called it externalities. We've never really calculated the cost of what these other fuels have done to human health, what they have done to labor, job creation, etc. So I ask you as a sector, not as someone who supports this, that, or the other, when a company or a country chooses a fuel, do they calculate what they have for years poorly named as externalities? Number one. Number two, now that more than 90 countries signed the methane pledge in COP26 in Glasgow, should we not reconsider how we use biomass?
Well, please allow me, Dr. Laila, to put it in a smart way, not to put it in a competition way.
Good.
Well, at the end, we do have a serious problem in Egypt and in African countries called solid waste management. This is a huge problem. And you are kindly reminding us that Egypt and another 120 countries already signed a global methane pledge. So we have to be complying with the global methane pledge. At the end, if we solve the solid waste problem, it is not only gaining a better economic solution, it is mainly objecting or mainly solving the solid waste problem regarding the emission gas, regarding the contamination of the water table, regarding to the black smoke coming from open burning of this waste. So at the end, please don't take it in the wrong way that we are only focusing on the things that made money only. But at the end, we need to get rid from the solid waste dilemma, and it is worldwide dilemma. For your information, ECARU is the only certified CDM company since 2012 aware about the methane gas emission reduction since 10 years ago.
I know.
And we are the only certified company, not only from Ministry of Environment in Egypt, from the UNFCCC. And this is in cooperation with the World Bank. So, Dr. Laila, part of our mission is to provide a technology, a no-cost, low-cost solution suitable for Africa and Egypt. And of course, we are having a sister company called the Intag to support ECARU in providing the technology. So we are open for the biogas management. I could say management. Why? Why we became CDM certified? Why? What is the additionality, they call it? What is the additionality of becoming CDM certified company? Because Based on the agreement, ECARU is obliged to recycle not less than 20% of the receiving municipal solid waste. So,
But that is why I am a little perplexed. You are a leading expert in that field and in that particularly appropriate manner of using biomass. I'm just perplexed. Why are you changing now?
well, we are not changing. We have to. Why? Because the worldwide is now talking about carbon emission reduction. The worldwide is talking seriously about the global energy problem. Then you may hear about MERSIC project to produce biomethanol in the Red Sea for their own ships. Why? Because it is a sustainable fuel, because it is carbonless emission production material.
So here's my next question. Is there wisdom in chasing whatever multinationals and high investment cost models propose to us without objectively scrutinizing the technology? Let me give you an example. A few years ago, in the field of municipal waste, we were being told landfilling is it. And they sent us all of the engineering know-how, and they trained our university students on how to line with geothermal or clay, how to measure, how to trap leachate. And then a few years later, they came back and said, no, wrong one. The best one is waste incineration. Really? And we went right after it. And they kept telling us, it doesn't matter if it's expensive. This is recycling, by the way, because it produces energy. They needed it to heat their homes when the Arab region cut off oil in the 70s. And we chased after it. Now they're telling, no. Waste to energy is bad because it is actually not recycling. It's destroying materials according to the life cycle notion. So now here's what my question. Should we be chasing any new technology that is on the global scene, or shouldn't we scrutinizing for what we need, what we know and have tried and true, and what is more appropriate technology for us? That's my question.
Thank you for the question, but we have to mention that Egypt has a national strategy for solid waste management.
Yes.
If you remember, Dr. Al-Halwagi, in year 2000, we established the Egypt National Solid Waste Strategy for Solid Waste. And today, the project that the Ministry of Local Administration and the Ministry of Environment is publishing tenders, it is related to strategy number 5.
Which is?
What is the strategy number 5? It is material recovery facilities. You know that you are leading the informal sector to do something regarding to the recyclables. Then we have established the system regarding the recyclables. And you already know that I am, trying very hard to keep the informal sector to be formal, and hopefully it will work. And what else? After sorting, the 50-60% organic will go for biological treatment, and the RDF fraction goes for the RDF, and the rest goes for the landfilling. Okay. This is what we call strategy number 5.
So let me ask you, sorry to interrupt. Now that we're all talking about green hydrogen, you know that electrolyzers are in short supply and expensive, and we're planning to use solar energy. Do you know for sure that half of Africa still doesn't have a light bulb in their home? Is it wise to use this massive supply of sun we have in Africa to produce green hydrogen for Maersk and ships and whoever else, rather than first provide it to our people for a simple light bulb? Is this a good use of solar or renewable?
Well, for your information, Maersk or any other company will never start before 26, 27. Then I mean, to 2027, 2026. Then from now until 2026 or 2027, we will keep repeating the success stories regarding how do you call it MBT, mechanical biological treatment technology, that will deal with the organic fraction either to convert to compost or anaerobically to convert it to methane, and the sludge will be also converted to compost, and the remaining will be the RDF. This is Egypt appropriate solution, and for sure this is Africa appropriate solution. No cost, low cost, easy to handle.
For municipal waste. But my question, if you would allow me, is about the use of renewables, solar energy. Should it go towards the production of green hydrogen, or should we first provide our people in Africa, of whom 50% don't have a light bulb, with their electricity needs? Then go into producing what the West needs for their needs.
Well, for your information, yesterday we were having a session regarding to the decarbonization in Egypt so far. One of Qal'a Holding called the Taqa Arabiya, they are the largest company building solar panels in Bimban, in even in Sharm el-Sheikh, in some other. So they are considering solar energy as a solution to produce electricity.
I know, but now we're going to take it away and direct it towards green hydrogen.
No.
Egypt has a surplus of energy. It's not Egypt's problem. I'm talking about Africa. This is the Africa COP.
Well, you know, Egypt, regarding the solar energy, is achieving a great business, and the Qal'a also is doing a great job in this regard. But what is that?
ده إعلان غير مدفوع الأجر.
Sorry, I did. Sorry,
معلش.
sorry. I
It's
didn't
okay,
mean that.
it's okay. No,
But
but that's-
I have the right to give an announcement about some existing.
يلا عندي I don't know.
So what I'm saying, electrolysis of water using the solar energy is something established since ages. But you know, they discovered that to reduce the cost, instead of relying on natural gas or fossil fuel to produce energy and then to produce hydrogen, it's very costly. Then maybe using the solar energy will help. But does this mean that by using the solar energy for green hydrogen production, this will affect using the solar energy for household heating or for electricity production? I don't think so.
Well, I hope not, because from many of the sessions here, we've been listening to investors, serious ones, who are going to Africa, all of them, to use Africa's resources, mostly renewable, to produce green hydrogen, to provide it to, they claim, Africa, because they don't want to be neo-colonialists, but also to the West. You know, we've heard the story before. Let's see how it plays out. But my question is that probably, in order to subsidize these expensive technologies, we have to borrow. And to borrow either from commercial banks or investors. Now, emerging markets, I'm not talking about Egypt, this is a general remark, are often faced with eventually the need to tax their people or to raise the price of conventional electricity so that they can cover the cost of borrowing. So my question now is a financial one. Do you see a risk in this or not?
Well, regarding, allow me to give some information. Egypt is producing bioethanol, كحول الإثيلي, since 50 years ago, and this is coming from the gas, from sugar industry, and it has been used widely since 50 years ago in medical purposes or in energy purposes. But today, Dr. Layla, there is a serious problem regarding to the emission gas reduction, and the worldwide is trying to push towards the how do you call it, fossil fuel, how do you call it, renewable energy resources, whether from biomasses or from wind or from solar energy. This is the market. And the risk is not to start. We need to start, we need to test, and then based on the financial model, based on the market need, all of this technology will correct their way to make it more simple, more sustainable.
Thank you. We only have 5 minutes to go, so I'll open up the Fireside to questions from participants. We have with us Dr. Mustafa Murad, who's the leading WAA person. He was my best friend when we were trying to decide on coal. So Dr. Mustafa, ahlan bik. Please go ahead.
About the potential, especially in Egypt. There is a lot of talking about recycling, but especially for
to identify the sources of waste to be converted to electricity. 1 ton of garbage has 50-60% organic residues. The only way to produce energy from food waste or from sorted organic residues is the anaerobic digestion. Then you take this 50-60% to anaerobic digester, and then you will produce methane, CO2, and hydrogen sulfide. The rest called the dry fraction. The dry fraction is representing 40-50%. This dry fraction could be used to produce RDF.
Can you change
And then,
change your mic, please? Thank you. And switch it on. Thank you.
and then instead of burning the RDF in cement plant, we could take this RDF to be burned in an incinerator to produce steam, and this steam will go to steam turbine and then go to produce energy. So the waste to energy has 2 forms. Part is coming from the wet fraction, is the organic fraction, and part is coming from the dry fraction, which is the RDF fraction. At the end, what will be the estimated cost for kilowatt hour coming from both types? I assure you, minimum 15-17 US cent per kilowatt hour. How much the cost, the electricity produced from solar panel today is less than 3 cents per kilowatt hour. From wind is less than 6 US cent per kilowatt hour. At the end, if the objective is to produce electricity, waste is not the right solution. And for your information, the big mistake we all fall in, nobody in the world is talking about waste to energy to produce electricity. Waste to energy is a solution to get rid from the waste. In some countries, maybe it is applicable, but in Egypt, if you can afford paying more than 50-60 euro or dollar as a tipping fee or gate fee, moreover, if you can ask the Minister of Electricity to subsidize what they purchase with 3 to 6 US cent per kilowatt hour and pay almost double or triple this value, then waste to energy is a solution.
Allow me to interject here. Bosia, Doctor, business people always look at it from the financial side. I don't blame them. That's what they have to do. However, the context is much wider, because are we not able to consider innovative solutions, like if the whole city source segregated their materials into wet and dry streams, wouldn't the cost of that gate fee and of delivering the material to the biogas plant be a lot less? Number one. Number two, if we were to consider this a circular model, wouldn't it be better than that other one? Number three, the cost. It's always the cost of electricity. Municipal waste is not the story of it. It's not just about handling it, managing, getting rid of it. It's about public health. We have not calculated up till now the cost of all of the people who get sick and how much it costs to treat them medically in the cost of our waste and electricity. So their arguments of price are not complete. They're missing that important fraction of cost. Sorry.
That's the role of government.
Absolutely.
The role of government is to regulate things in a way that gives the proper incentive to business. If the government did not calculate the costs of better healthcare and better health, that's a different story. Then, from my point of view, there is a limited amount of biomass. Where will it go? It will go to the place where there is maximum sustainable, put underneath 10 underline, 10 underline place. So it will, if you want to have it go to electricity generation, then you need to announce a policy for Egypt for the health minister to give 10 cents per kilowatt hour for the next 20 years. And it should be guaranteed that this is going to be paid and not changed in a couple of years' time, because financing for such projects are very large.
Thank you, Dr. Hakel, for that very important remark. But I do need to remind the business sector that they're now part of Egypt's 2030 SDG strategy, and that sustainability is now about 17 SDGs, of which one of them is health. So it appears to me that the private sector is as responsible as government for public health. Dr. Mustafa?
I think World Bank already, and in cooperation with WEAA, already calculates the cost of environmental degradations coming from air pollution. It was 1.3% of GDP. And this is a huge, by the way. If we are talking about 2013, this is cost about 47 billion Egyptian pounds. But now it's more.
Much more.
Much more. If you calculate it, the source of air pollution coming from the waste burning, open burning, means 30%. So I'm talking about the open burning of waste. It costs the economy of Egypt. It's about 0.3 or 0.4% of GDP. I think so. This is a very simple.
I think we need another fireside chat, and this time with Dr. Hakel here as our
It's
speaker.
fire underlined.
Thank you very much.
I want to thank you so much for absolutely a very lively discussion and clearly representing all the different points of views. This is going to require this transition. This responsibility will require a unified global cooperation, collaboration to make it happen. The government with the policies, the private sector with obviously the risk taking, but also the financing coming from the DFIs, the green condition financing. Everyone needs to collaborate. This will not happen with one side being the burden. We're all going through this journey transition. Thank you so much for giving us all these insights. I want to clap for all. A very exciting. You got us all on our toes, and I'm shivering. Can I have a photo with you all? Thank you.